Hi, welcome to this episode of the Keto Vegan Podcast. I'm Rach, I am your host. Today, I've been thinking for quite a while about the reasons that we are vegan and why people aren't vegan yet. And this can be a contentious issue. I've always tried not to be an aggressive vegan, getting really pissy about people who are still eating meat. I I want to use emotive language and phrases to these people because I do find it a massive discrepancy when people love animals, but they are happy to have an animal on their plate and eat it. So, um, this one's going to be tricky. I think I'm going to be careful. I could go off on a rant, but that's not the style that I want. I want to be kind because I really think that if we're angry at people, they're not going to listen. They're going to put defenses up. And so I want to gently ask these questions, and perhaps you could too. So I'm thinking that many of my listeners are vegans and are keto, or one or the other. I'd imagine more vegans than just ketos. So what questions can we ask when people say, why are you vegan? Where do you get your protein from? And all those kinds of questions, or I couldn't do it, or I like the taste of meat too much. Those kinds of things. And I think the best way to handle this is to turn it around. And rather than answer the questions and get defensive about it and angry about it, because it's easy to do that, is to ask them questions back. I see loads of memes and reels and stuff on Instagram, Facebook, threads, and so on. Don't use Twitter anymore, take myself off that, as have so many people, including The Guardian. I'm quite impressed with that. And one of the things I saw was this quote, and I like this. This world would be a better place if everyone stopped worrying about where vegans get their protein from and were much more concerned about where homeless people get theirs from. Perfect. I love that. So, and there's another little reel that I saw. This comedian, she was on stage and she said one of the reasons that she's become vegan is to really piss off all her friends. And like, oh no, we've got the vegan coming from dinner. What am I going to cook her? Oh my God, it's so difficult. I'm going to have to go and get some unicorn sprouts and some leprechaun feathers. I just thought that was quite funny. So why am I vegan? Not really to piss people off, but isn't it incredible that, I mean, imagine being vegan keto, how difficult, and I've said this before in previous episodes, how difficult it is to feed us. But if we are being invited out to dinner, if then I think forego the keto side. It's lovely to be asked out for dinner. When was the last time I was asked out for dinner? I can't remember. I think we've been out to restaurants and then I can choose. But we do sibling breakfast. I'm one of four, and every 3 months we take it in turns to do breakfast. We all get together, which is really lovely. And my siblings always do me a vegan breakfast, get vegan sausages, and then don't cook stuff in animal products, and always do, obviously, other food, animal products for the rest of them, but not for me. Okay, so there's a really excellent argument. I've got a link to it below. It's an Instagram video. A really excellent argument about not eating meat. Humans, and you listen to this argument rather than to me, but very briefly, he is saying about how humans aren't built to eat meat. We are not built. Our teeth aren't for carnivores. Our gut isn't for carnivores. We are herbivores. That's the way we're naturally meant to be. And he's saying that people say, well, lions eat meat. Actually, he was saying that the strongest animals, apes, don't eat meat. What other? Elephants, rhinoceros, hippos. They they don't eat meat. Rhinos, yeah, rhinos don't eat meat, and they are incredibly strong and incredibly powerful. They are herbivores. But people use examples of lions and, well, the big cats, because they do eat meat. Isn't it funny? The big cats and the little cats, domestic cats, are some of the biggest killers in this country. Birds and mice and so on. Anyway, that's another argument. So that's a link underneath. Have a look at his argument. It's so good. So if you want to get all your information together, so you've got good arguments to give people, like, why are you vegan? Rather than saying, well, why aren't you vegan? And they say, well, I like the taste of meat. What do we say about that? There are so many incredible products now that are so tasty, so good for you, and so good for our planet. Which brings me to another one. If people are concerned about the environment, about the planet, but still eating meat, what is that about? So, what we could do if people are sort of arguing about that is turn it around and say, do you care about the environment for the future for our children? I mean, this year, I saw yesterday, I think it was, and I haven't checked this for evidence, but somebody was saying that 2024, oh, I know, I was assessing a speaking and listening assessment, and part of their discussion is about the environment and climate change and all of that. One of them said that 2024 is the warmest year on record. I don't know if that is true, but it wouldn't be surprising, would it? It's been ridiculous temperatures, and the earth is crying out for us to change. And this is where the idea from me came from initially. Our Mother Earth, what are we doing to her? And that made me think of those films, the Marvel film, the God, when Thanos wipes off half of the population to save the planet. I understand that. We're not going to do that, but we have to do something about it. Is it COP 29 happening at the moment? I can't remember. But what's happening there? There are so many people from oil companies, etc., who are there. It's so biased. The other film I was thinking of with Samuel L. Jackson, it's the Kingsman, the Secret Service, when he wants to wipe out most of the planet, I mean, most of human population to save the planet. These films are made as in extreme responses. The only problem with our planet is us. We have to do something. And the best thing that we can do is stop eating meat. And then people say, well, what about the farmers? What about that? You're going to put them out of business. They can adapt. Blockbusters didn't adapt, it went out of business. But look at the companies that have adapted. These companies that have changed from doing dairy ice cream to vegan ice cream. There's a link below to a chef, French chef, that he talks about, how he loves animals. And he used to be an a la carte, or he is an a la carte restaurant, I think. And then he talks about how can we put an animal on our plate when we love animals. There's a link to that below as well. And I've also, and it's quite troubling, and I read through this, it's another Instagram link, and it's called Confessions of Slaughterhouse Workers, that they actually have to numb themselves emotionally to be able to do their job, because they know that the animals are experiencing absolute stress, distress. They do not want to die. And I can't watch videos now of cattle being queued up for slaughter, because I can't do it. It's so upsetting. Now, I used to put my head in the sand about it. Being a teacher, I used to teach about animal rights, being a teacher of religious studies, and that was part of it. And I was keto, still am, but obviously, if you are keto and not vegan, our diet is meat and dairy. Meat and dairy. The amount of animals that were killed so that I could do my keto diet. It just, it's, it makes me speechless. So I am so glad that I saw that distressing documentary, and people have made those. Thank you, filmmakers, for doing those, because it changed my life. And I know these documentaries have changed many, many lives. So if you've got friends, as we all have, who are not vegan, get yourself armed with really good arguments. Don't be aggressive, because that gets us nowhere. When somebody's shouting at you or arguing that they are right and you are wrong, do you think, oh, yeah, no, they're so right. They are right and I am so wrong? We don't think that, do we? We get our defenses put up. So don't be that person to your friends. Be kind, be loving, because that's why we're vegans. We are loving. We want to be kind to animals. There is no difference from a cow to a cat. A cow mourns when its calf is taken. Cow wants to live. Pigs are so clever, cleverer than dogs, depending on the dog, perhaps. But just think about it. What arguments do you use? What questions? How effective are you? Do check out the links below this episode in the show notes. And if you've got any questions or anything, do send them to me. Leave comments. I'd love it if you subscribed or followed. Next episode is going to be my birthday lunch. So I have bought a Juicy Marbles loin uh, thing, and I'm going to do various other things. There is all going to be vegan, obviously. Is it all keto? I think for my starter, I'm going to give the option of crackers so I can dip it into the starter, which is keto. And I'll be doing cocktails, there'll be bubbly and wines, and I'll be talking through it, showing you photos. If I'm not too tipsy on the day, I might also do some videoing too. I'm going to make a couple of desserts, so do tune in next week. Oh, and I'm going to change my episode days to Fridays. It just gives me a bit more time during the week to prep and plan and put it all together. Thank you for listening. Do leave comments, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.